This week's episode of Be Hero Fights is brought to you by not one, but two amazing podcasts. If you like nature, if you like sports, if you like banter, these are the podcasts for you. Wandering Ways Podcast and Hangin With Deez.
Hi, welcome to Wandering Ways Podcast, where me and my co-host Mark talk about all our nature experiences. He has a sports medicine and health and wellness background, while I have a Native American communications background, and we travel the world and share our experiences with you. From buffalo hunts in Yellowstone National Park to climbing the top of Mount St. Helens volcano. We have encountered grizzly bears, rattlesnakes, and even a Bigfoot. Yes, you heard that correctly, a Bigfoot. Only one place to hear them, and that place is Wandering Ways Podcast. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Once you're all caught up with the Be Hero crew, jump on over to my new show. It's called Hangin With Deez. My co-host Dylan and I cover all kinds of topics, mostly sports, but we also get into some pop culture stuff, video games, and movie news. Also tell an occasional story from my days as a strip club DJ. That is Hangin With Deez, available on Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts, just about anywhere that you find your podcasts. Come see us, Hangin With Deez.
Welcome to Be Hero Fights. I'm Tom.
And I'm Brian.
And we are here to discuss
Or fuss.
over two hotly debated, highly related topics.
Last week, we had a great episode about where, as a professional wrestler, you want to be. Would it be up in the high end, such as like the WWE, AEW, or do you want to stay in the smaller areas, kind of the old school territory business, like my company I work for, Devotion Championship Wrestling, as well as the other ones like Ring of Honor or OVW. Yeah. And it was a great heated debate, so much so, it was our first ever true draw.
That's right. First time we've had a draw that wasn't due to a technical issue.
Yes.
And actually the first time we've had a draw since we've had a judge listening to the debates and determining an outcome. Having been the one to judge that, when I went back and listened, it was still a draw. I had thoughts, and I would start getting ideas, and like, okay, actually I'm with Brian. Well, no, actually now I'm with Brandon, and it's still a draw. So we need your guys' input.
That's right. First off, thank you, Brandon, also known as Leo Wolf, which you can find him as Leo Wolf on Facebook. Thank you for joining us for that episode. It was a fantastic episode. And thanks everybody so far who's commented on that episode about what their thoughts were on it. Please continue to do so. Go back and watch that episode and tell us if you side one way or the other, or if you think it's too difficult. Again, as always, tell us what we got right and what we got wrong.
Exactly. And my apologies for my terrible banter that episode. I was segueing with all the worst anecdotes.
It's no change from any other time.
Well, yeah, you're not wrong.
But this week, we have something very special. This coming Sunday will be the biggest football game of the year, Super Bowl.
Exactly.
And as of such, we're going to be doing a special Super Bowl episode where we're not actually fighting, per se.
Well, there might be.
Well, yeah.
He likes the 49ers. I like the Packers. Neither of us are in the Super Bowl, and we both hate each other.
That's right. But before we go into there, we have some house cleaning to do. So after our most recent couple episodes have dropped, we have some new comments. So take it away, Tom.
That's right. So from our UFC episode,
Randy
Couture versus George St. Pierre. Who is the better actor? We did have one comment from Steve. He said, "Great show today. Sorry that I'm not familiar with either of these fighters/actors. I do have to say that nearly all MMA has no idea what martial arts is. They have left the faith for something that no longer resembles martial arts of any kind. It has turned into a brawling match where the best wrestler usually wins. Not one of them would last more than seconds with Bruce Lee. The things that have been lost are speed, technique, and the mental ability to really control their movements. Also, Kickboxer was really a B movie for Jean-Claude Van Damme. He has much better movies, but where he excels is in his flexibility, which allows him to do things that no one else has done, and obviously his physique. By the way, I'll take them all on. Shots fired. UFC, MMA fighters. Apparently you're not disciplined enough. And you have an open challenge with Steve. And
Well,
I want to be there.
I agree with Steve to the aspect that the UFC has gone away from what it was when it started, where the UFC didn't really have weight classes, and they were all pretty much a single discipline against another. So you might have a guy like, say, Royce Gracie, who won the first one, who's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu artist, against somebody like Butterbean, who was in one, who was a straight boxer in Street Fighter style.
Yeah.
And there's a huge weight difference. I think Butterbean was in the 300s at the time, where Royce Gracie is 12 pounds soaking wet. So I can understand where Steve's coming from on there. But, you know, and any sport you do, the longer it goes along, they add up more rules to make things a little fair and a
little safer, avoid lawsuits.
Yeah, and you also have the ability of seeing something that can be more entertaining. Yeah. Sometimes you get into those things, especially in the first couple of UFC shows or pay-per-views that they had, where it was pretty much like a chick fight. You know, they were just ducking heads and just throwing arms, man. And it wasn't really entertaining outside of the part you got to laugh at them for the first 10 seconds until they went in 3 rounds of that. So,
I mean, some of the early ones, yeah, I mean, there were fights that were just kind of boring, and, you know, and there is now, but also there were some crazy matchups. Like, I remember sumo wrestlers going against like just little like karate guy. I don't know any names because that was forever ago, and I was like 8 when I saw that. But yeah, I will say though that it is more disciplined than you're giving it credit for, Steve. And even Bruce Lee admitted that it's best to pick up what's good from other forms of martial arts, and that is the entire point of MMA, mixed martial arts.
Well, and the tie onto that, Jeet Kune Do, the discipline he created, is a variant of Wing Chun, which I know that a lot of people, including Steve, is a fan of. But it's a variant of that with other aspects of other disciplines to it.
Yeah.
That all being said, that was 2 shows ago, so we're done with all that. So let's bring it back around to this week. This week, we are going to be talking about crazy Super Bowl / football traditions
and stories.
These are all weird things that players, teams, fans all do that's a little out of the normal. Yeah. But there's a great saying when it comes to football and weird traditions. It's only stupid if it doesn't work.
Yep.
So, but to help us talk about these stories and to banter about why these may be stupid or may work, we're going to actually have 2 special guests from 2 other podcasts on with us.
That's right. First off, let's go ahead and welcome Zach. Right?
Yep.
Hi, how's it going?
Welcome, Zach. Give us a little bit about the podcast you're from and everything about going on.
Yeah.
You kind of cut out there at the end, but my podcast is Wandering Ways podcast. We're a nature-themed podcast. Some say we're searching for Bigfoot. Others would say we're just searching for a good time, you know, seeing waterfalls. And
is there really a difference?
Right.
Right, exactly. You know, if we can't find him, we got to keep looking. So it puts us out there.
Yeah.
That's the cover art right there, Wandering Ways. Boom.
Very nice.
I'm excited to be on. I've got the Brady jersey on. They just won today because have to throw that on. I also have a Mahomes jersey, so it'll probably be one of the 2.
Right.
I don't know which one I'm wearing on game day.
Well, I have to see. I think the game's still going too for the KC Bills game.
Yeah, but I think Kansas City was up 3 scores last I checked.
Oh wow, yeah, they had just barely scored their second when I left to come here. So, all right. Well, before we move on, Zach, is there any weird football or Super Bowl traditions that either you have or you know of?
Super Bowl, it's all about the commercials for me. I work, my professional job is in advertising.
Okay.
So it's always been one of those things, we're in it kind of for the commercials as well as, I'm a big football fan myself. So
Nice.
it's the best of both worlds. So I love the commercial. I love the funny ones. And I think this year being the crazy COVID year we had, we're going to have some good commercials because people are going to be watching the game.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And in the list of ones we found about these weird player traditions, I do have one for your boy Brady. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
all right. And the next person we're bringing on, our other special guest,
Is Dan from
Hanging With Deez.
Yeah, hanging with the. I am so bad spacey today. Apparently, I need more whiskey. That's how that works, right?
All right, Dan. Well, give us the lowdown on Hanging With Deez, and if you have any crazy Super Bowl or football traditions.
Sure. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm Deez. They call me Deez because my initials are actually DD. I am actually on two podcasts. One, I'm kind of a sidekick, kind of on hiatus. It was a little bit politically driven, so we're kind of trying to choose a new direction with that. But Hanging With Deez is something I threw together. Initially, it was going to be everything that I didn't talk about on the other show, mainly sports, because my partner on that show doesn't know dick about sports. So I started one with my cousin, and
Shut up, Brian.
we're more football than any other sport. So like right now we're pumping out like 2 shows a week, primarily talking about the NFL. But I also have a background as a DJ, and I was a strip club DJ for a long time. So a lot of our shows I'll tell some true stories from when I worked in the strip club, some crazy shit I'd seen just through my years working with the bars. We also do a lot of pop culture stuff. We'll do movie reviews and TV shows, comic book. We're both kind of comic book nerds.
Nice.
We talk about like other podcasts, like the big guns like Joe Rogan and Bill Burr, things like that. So kind of like a potpourri of a little bit of everything, just whatever we feel like talking about that particular week. And an update for you, KC is up 31-15 with 9 minutes to go in the fourth. So
Oh, wow.
it's looking like we're gonna get that Mahomes Brady rematch from a couple of years ago.
Nice.
And I'm a Steeler fan. I don't know if you can see the hat or whatever. So that was the other thing. My podcast. Initially, I was going to do just a show called Everything Steelers, but once the season's over, what am I going to do? So it's Steeler heavy during the season because we do have a pretty good group of Steeler fans here in Central Illinois, where I'm located. But we cover a little bit of everything. Back to stories, like for Super Bowls, we always have a big party. We used to have it when I was like in high school at my parents' house, and we'd invite everybody, and it was just this big deal. And we would do like 30 pounds of wings. My dad over the years came up with it's a secret really. I mean, a recipe for a hot sauce that I have not had an equal to.
Nice. Hold on one sec, guys.
You said what?
There's a little mic thing. It says it's off. Do you want that on?
No, it doesn't matter. It's
Yeah,
still
I turned it
recording,
off.
Okay.
Okay.
though? Still recording though?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
good.
Well, Dan, that's awesome. That sounds like a great podcast. It's very similar to what ours is. It's very potpourri-esque as well.
Yeah.
So-
In fact, we had a discussion just I think 2 weeks ago on the Lethal Weapon versus Die Hard Christmas movie discussion.
Nice. What was your guys' take?
Well, Tom, I'm afraid to tell you that Lethal Weapon is in no way, shape, or form a Christmas movie.
You're just wrong. There's Christmas everywhere.
No. Let me just tell you one thing, and then we'll get back to our topic. Die Hard, the plot of Die Hard doesn't work unless it's Christmas. Lethal Weapon, while they do incorporate Christmas into the movie, at no point in the plot is Christmas required.
At no point in the plot of Die Hard, it's a company party.
For Christmas.
That could have
It's a
been 4th of
Christmas
July.
party, Christmas Eve.
It could have been 4th of July and the movie would have been the same.
But see, the whole point of John McClane flying across the country to see his wife was because it was the holidays and he was trying to patch it up. So he went to go see his wife on Christmas at the Christmas party, and the terrorists took over the building knowing that it was a Christmas party and nobody would be there, security would be light, and they had nothing but hostages that they could take.
I like
While I
that.
love Lethal Weapon and all of them in the series, it's not a Christmas movie.
I'm not going to dive too deep into this,
look,
but I
we
just
can
want to
have a
know,
whole
did you
nother
listen
show
to that
on
episode though? Did
Yes,
you?
I did.
Awesome. All right. Well, I won't segue that too much. You're wrong, and I'd be happy to fight you on that, and maybe a round two, podcast versus
Maybe we'll have to
podcast.
set that up.
That's right.
A couple things that just came to mind while you were talking about your podcast, though. First of all, we actually have friends from another podcast called Next on Stage One. I don't know if you heard of them, but their podcast is all about strippers in Denver.
Yep.
They're retired strippers that created that podcast. So that just reminded me of that. They're really funny. So if you guys heard of that, check them
I'll have
out.
to look that up.
Yeah, they're hilarious. I actually listened to your most recent episode. I was listening to that today.
Okay.
While I was kind of putting stuff together, you guys definitely know your stuff. I'm trying to recall everything right now. Your episodes are about 2 hours, so I know
we started doing tried to keep it under an hour, but we just figured that when you're only doing 1 or 2 shows a week, the people that are listening, they can listen to a half hour here and then come back the next day or whatever. So if we've got the content, we'll just go until we're out of stuff to talk about. But yeah,
Yep.
as far as there are times that even some of the shows that I listen to, I can't sit and just listen to Joe Rogan, who I love.
Yeah.
But I throw it on when I'm in the car or anything. So I'll get it in 20, 30-minute segments. So I just figured, when you're only doing 1, maybe 2 shows a week, that the length of it isn't quite that big a deal. If we did it every day, then I think I would get it under that 30-minute mark. But
for sure.
And that's it's a common problem for us. We've been trying to keep it under 30 minutes, but we're usually around 45. So sometimes around an hour, but yeah.
And sadly, I didn't have an opportunity to listen to either of your guys' podcasts, even though that Tom's been raving about both of you so much this last week when we were talking about having you guys on. So thank you guys both for joining us tonight. Before we jump in, I just want to go through our normal social media deets. So if you guys have any thoughts, concerns, questions about anything we're talking about tonight, please reach out to us.
Facebook.com/BeHeroMedia, Instagram.com/BeHeroMedia.
On Twitter at BeHeroFights, and you can always find everything about us, including all of our blog stuff and everything else that we're doing, on BeHeroMedia.com.
That's right. If you want to get involved in the show, let us know. That's the best ways to reach out to us. This is going to be fun.
Oh, yeah, I'm super excited. All right, guys. So we went through, and I say we as in I, went through, and we got a whole list of a bunch of football weird traditions and different things. So we're going to kind of read through them and then talk about them after.
You know, I got a bunch as well.
So I did a lot of this work. And let's start off by one of probably the best kickers. I know for myself, I always have in my fantasy, if I can help it, when I have a kicker in my fantasy league, is Matt Bryant of the Falcons. He's got a really weird one where starting in 2002, he would have a chocolate milkshake every night before a game, okay? So he would go and make a chocolate milkshake at home and just down that sucker every night. For whatever reason, it was a good luck thing. Except for once. Once he was playing against the Bucs and had totally spaced on doing it the night before. And so just before the game started, he went and sent one of his equipment guys to go and get him a milkshake from, I'm assuming, McDonald's or some fast food place real fast, just so he can make sure he's covered for his superstition/tradition.
It's important. If you're going to have a tradition, breaking it just ruins everything. That's how superstitions come to be in the first place. So I say good on him for making sure that he got that milkshake.
I couldn't imagine having a milkshake. So I never had a chance to play football, in high school or anything else like that. But with wrestling and everything else, I could not imagine going on something heavy like that. That would be insane.
It does seem counterintuitive.
Oh, the night before would be all right, but just before a game, it's a good thing he's a kicker.
Just sitting there
He
curdling.
should have had more milkshakes before they lost that 28-3 lead a few years ago.
Oh my lord. Yeah, speaking of Super Bowls.
I laugh as if I know what they're talking about.
Oh yeah, just so you guys know, Tom doesn't understand sports ball.
Sports balls? Yes.
Yes.
Sports ball.
I like to watch all the sports balls on occasions of Super Bowl.
Yes.
No, I actually do have a team. It's the Packers. Yeah, it's I don't know.
Just not after today.
I liked them as a child because green was my favorite color and gold is gold. And you know, I've been to Wisconsin. Wisconsin's a wonderful place. Anyways, this next one, Deion Sanders, is that right?
Good job, sir.
Deion
Sanders.
Okay, Deion Sanders, quarterback, would lay out his uniform the night before the game, every game. This is so well known that multiple players have done the same thing, including Ravens kicker Justin Tucker, who started copying Deion's ritual in elementary while he was playing soccer.
Yep. And this is not just with football. I've heard stories of people all over all sports doing it. I won't lie. I don't do it all the time, but I've done it for wrestling. I put out my gear beforehand.
Yeah, I mean, when I was in junior jazz, I did that all the time.
So, but I mean, it still kind of follows as an interesting tradition because, you know, people who aren't in sports may not understand that kind of thing. So, that being said, my daughter does the same thing with dance too. So, all right. One of my favorite all-time running backs, Frank Gore, former Niner. He has an interesting one too. Like most people, he listens to music before the game, which is not too unusual for people. I do it before wrestling shows and things like that too. But you know, you do it to get in the right mindset, right?
Yeah.
You know, to let everything just wipe away from the rest of the world, all your stuff, and, you know, get in the right mindset for the thing you're about to do. Well, he has specific things he has to do for us. He requires, no matter what other music he listens to, there are 2 songs that he has to hear in order. He has to listen to Michael Jackson's Bad, and then right after, he's got to go right again to Jackson and listen to Man in the Mirror. Supposedly, it's like the right rhythm and beat and everything to kind of get him in set, as well as the lyrics works really well for him to try and focus things down on what he needs to do for football and to be the best possible football player he can be.
Yeah. Is Bad ruined for anyone else because of Weird Al Yankovic? Because it's ruined for me.
I don't know.
I won't say ruined, but I mean, I definitely, if I hear one, the other is right in my ear as well.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
any song that Weird Al has done. Like, I'll just hear the tune of it, and I'll hear Weird Al singing his words as opposed to the song that I'm actually listening to.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe not that one as much, but yeah, definitely some of other Weird Al.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Like, for me, it's Gangster's Paradise. If I listen to Gangster's
Yes.
Paradise, it's always Amish Paradise.
Yeah, that one can't be untwined.
Right. All right, so we got the next one.
No, I was going to say, with wrestling, do you have a song that you listen to?
Actually, I have a whole playlist. I have a whole rock playlist that I go
Yeah.
through. That's a huge variety of songs and stuff that I listen to. And it's a huge variety. So I'll jump from, like, say, Boston to Disturbed, and then go to, like, Bon Jovi over to, like, Gwar. So I'm all over the place when it comes to songs before shows.
Oh, my God, Gwar.
But I have no, like, specific songs I have there. I just throw on the playlist as I'm, like,
Yeah.
mentally getting ready and stretching out and everything. In case you guys don't know.
Have you ever seen Gwar live?
I have seen videos of Gwar live. I have not seen them on tour anywhere in a long time.
I've
Back-
wanted to.
Back when I lived in Indianapolis, I worked security at a club there called the Vogue. It was kind of a small theater,
Yeah.
but every year they would have Gwar, and I worked for one show. Never again.
I have a friend who goes and sees them every time they come to Utah, or if they're like nearby, like Las Vegas isn't too far, Denver even. He has a shirt that he wore. He had no idea. The first time he saw Gwar, they were touring with someone else. He had no idea who they were. And so his clothes were just completely destroyed. So now he like ritualistically goes and sees them every time they're close enough. But he wears the exact same clothes.
Yeah, it's something like you've never seen before. And yeah, I told management after that, don't ever schedule me for a Guar show again.
Yeah, they're freaking bananas.
That's right. And in case you guys didn't know, I'm a professional wrestler. I
picked up on that.
Yeah, I do
We
it here.
talk a lot of that in our show as well.
Right on.
Yeah, my partner Dylan is like Rain Man for wrestling. You can like say, hey, Survivor Series 2004, and he can like spit the card back at you. Like I don't know how he does it, but yeah, it's pretty wild.
That's awesome. All right, so our next one on the list.
Yeah. So next we have Baker Mayfield, quarterback. Some people have lucky underwear, lucky shoes, lucky socks, or lucky headband. For Baker, his special piece of clothing that helps him win is a lucky undershirt. It was given to him by a friend while in college, and he wore every game until 2018 when it was ripped to the point where it could no longer be worn.
Right. And, he's had a pretty good season this season. I mean, he wasn't Steelers going 11-0 and
Maybe
then
he
choking,
sewed it back
but
up.
Hey.
Shots are fired.
Yes.
I would argue it was Odell leaving and getting hurt from the Browns that did more favors for them than.
I think that helped.
yeah.
No, I really think that helped the team chemistry.
Yeah.
And as much as a Steeler fan, I have to hate the Browns and Baker for that matter, because I mean they kicked their ass in the playoffs. But I can't help but enjoy those. Is it Progressive or Geico? I think it's Progressive.
Oh, they're great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, where he's like he lives in the stadium and he's
Yes.
the one where it's gonna rain, we got to cover all these seats, and he's doing each one individually. Security guards looking at him like, "What the hell are you doing?"
They call Parker. Yeah, Parker.
Yeah.
That's so good. Oh, man. But, yeah, I've known some guys, too, in the ring who wear only specific, like, socks are a pretty common one, but, like, are only going to wear certain socks because it's the ones that they felt like the luckiest, like they had a good show with or a good match with and things like that.
Yeah.
So it is unusual for me to see, like, an undershirt because I don't know how many people actually still wear undershirts per se. But, it's an interesting one, so.
Yeah.
You're comfortable. You're comfortable in it under your pads.
Right.
They make change.
I mean, I guess that makes sense. I do wear an undershirt on the occasion when I'm wearing, like, my jersey because, sometimes the jersey's just, like, too itchy or whatever. But, yeah.
Change the nipples.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, when I got married in my football jersey. I'm
nice.
Joe Montana's jersey. My wife is an Eagles fan. She got married, and her jersey was not shady.
Jaworski?
No. My brain just
Donovan?
turned off. No, she'd love a Donovan Mitchell or not Donovan Mitchell. Donovan McNabb jersey.
Randall Cunningham.
No, quarterback, super fast, short though. Whose brain my brain just turned off on his name.
Mike Vick.
I'm sorry, not quarterback. Wide receiver. See, I can't even think today. It'll come back to me
This
later.
is normally my
Deshaun
problem.
Jackson.
Deshaun Jackson, G-Jack. That's what it was. I knew it. I knew it was there. Yeah. With Deshaun Jackson, she got married in that jersey, but I had to wear an undershirt for that because we were like September. It was over Labor Day, and there was no way I was wearing just a jersey without that during that whole ceremony. It was
sticky.
outside. Yeah.
Yeah.
But speaking of clothing, another one that's on here for clothing is Chris Harris, who we just recently saw. Well, actually, still going for KC. Similarly to Baker Mayfield, he has a superstition about clothing. But with his, it's less about the clothing being worn. Or not Chris Harris for the KC, but his is less about what's being worn and how he wears it. Where he's a cornerback, they're always in the constant movement. And so for him, he has to have white socks that are all the way up to his knee and have to stay there the whole time. If they slide down, he literally, like, there was a story that I was reading that he had to call himself out of a play because his socks were too loose, like the elastic wasn't too loose, so he had to call himself out of the play so he can run to the locker room real fast and go get another pair of socks on to keep going because it just bothered him too much.
My only comment on this is in your notes here. For everyone else, you spelled quarterback correctly, but for this one, you put cornerback.
That's his position.
That's a position?
Yeah.
Well, I'm an idiot.
Cornerback or an offensive back.
When you're getting paid millions of dollars and that's the reason you fumble the ball or you slip. Like,
Yeah.
you got to say, well, there's no excuses. I fumbled the ball because I suck. Or, no, my sock was loose.
Now I
Threw
really
off my weight balance.
right. Now I really want to know what Mark Sanchez was for the butt fumble. What his superstition
fumble.
excuse was.
He was an overrated USC quarterback as his guys before him.
That's right.
We actually just had a big conversation about the USC guys too, and how you don't get quarterbacks good. Think of all the good quarterbacks throughout the history of the league. Most of them don't come from the factory style, best team in the nation. You always find the little guys like your Drew Brees from Purdue, or Luck from Stanford. And
exactly. And you look at those schools, Oklahoma, USC, Alabama. What are they producing? They're producing wide receivers, running backs,
and defense.
Yeah, and if you can have a kid run down the field, 90 miles an hour, just all he's got to do is beat that freshman cornerback or that sophomore cornerback, not that NFL player.
Yeah, it's a whole different game. I do have two things as far as the traditions and stuff. Back in the 90s, there was a guy by the name of Greg Lloyd that played for the Steelers, real mean outside linebacker. Every game he wore a sleeveless tee that said, "I wasn't hired for my disposition." and you would see that all the time when practice and camp, when he took his shoulder pads off, he always had that T-shirt on. The other one, which I'm sure you'll remember, Troy Polamalu.
Yep.
Anytime they would show him on the sidelines, that man must have said 500 prayers a game, because almost if he wasn't tackling somebody, he was doing the cross, and you would see him sitting on the bench and just boom, 2 seconds later, do it again. Maybe if you just say it all in one prayer, the big guy, you don't have to do it every single time, but it worked for him.
That's right. Well, seeing some of those dives that Troy would go for the ball and the interception, I'm not surprised. But let's go right back to the next one we got here. Let's see.
Which was, I think it's
Devontae Adams, your boy.
Devontae Adams, wide receiver. Like Matt Bryant, Adams has a special meal the night before the game: salmon salad with cucumbers, shredded cheese, and ranch. He started this tradition by accident the night before his first game with the Green Bay Packers in 2014. He ordered this dish for the first time. That game, he had 6 catches and 121 yards. It was the first 100-plus yard game he had ever had, and he took it as a good omen. Right. It doesn't sound that bad. I mean, for a healthy meal, it doesn't sound that bad. As long as you don't hate fish.
It's fish. I hate fish. But salmon's one I can get around if it's cooked well, though.
It's probably, he's making good money. First game of the Packers, that's probably really on golden platter.
Right.
Right. Well, that meal obviously is working out for him, because he's still killing it.
Oh, yeah. And, as long as you keep having it, and it's a lean one, too. Fish is fairly lean in a salad.
If you forgot that, if he did have to get that right before the game, that would still be a sensible thing to eat.
Right?
Yeah.
A shake.
You just don't want bad fish.
Yeah.
That's true.
Get a bad
in Green Bay, I don't know, salmon in the middle of the U.S.
Yeah.
Well, you're right there, coming through the Great Lakes in Wisconsin, so, you have a better option.
But yeah, you got Lake Superior right there.
All right. So here's what I was thinking of earlier. It was Chris Jones, KC dude right now. As mentioned, a lot of people have lucky pieces of clothing and everything else. His is specifically a pair of gloves. Going into a season a few years ago, he was going without a sack. He went 4 games without no sacks. Had a bunch of hurry ups and things like that, but no sacks. And so he's like, "Oh, of course, it must be the gloves. That's my problem." But he switched out his gloves for Game 5. Goes into Game 5 and has 3 sacks right there, and records a 11-game streak, which was for him his best record. 11-game run streak of a sack every game. Yeah, which is insane. I think only a few other people like Strahan and I think others have it a little bit longer, but still, an 11-game streak for sacks is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Also, along with that, apparently what was unbelievable is he doesn't wash them because he doesn't want to wash away the luck of them. So they smell. So much so, apparently, the other team members have told him that they could smell him coming around the corner.
So gross. But if it works, you know.
Right? It's only stupid if it doesn't work.
Exactly. All right, so next we have George Kittle, tight end. Kittle has probably the most unique ritual out of any player. Before every game, to get fired up, Kittle will read a letter from his father. The letter will contain some inspirational words, notes on the opponents, moments from his last game, trash talk. Once he reads the letter, Kittle proceeds to headbutt the wall. He's been doing all of this since his sophomore year in college at Iowa.
Yep.
Do you think he's given himself a concussion,
Oh,
maybe?
Probably. One, Kittle's amazing. He's a Niner.
Yeah.
And he is hands down probably one of the best players on our team, if not the best player on our team. And he's simply amazing. He's also a huge wrestling fan. Recently, actually, one of his teammates was like, "Hey, dude, you're nuts. I think you might like wrestling." And it's like, well, I don't know. I've never watched it before. Now he's huge into wrestling. So, but yeah. Could you imagine
the
that?
nerd in me just went to Tim Burton's Batman. You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
Exactly.
You know who George Kittle reminds me a little bit of? Did you ever see the movie The Program? It was a college football movie. It had Omar Epps in it when he was really young. But there was a player by the name of Latimer that had always rode the bench. Well, then he started doing steroids. So his senior year, he gets all jacked up and he makes the starting defense. And you could tell the steroids have really gotten to him because he's just a psychopath where they're slamming on each other's shoulder pads. And then the one guy who, God, I can't think of his name, but he actually went on, I think it might have been, I don't know, it wasn't Dennis Haysbert, but it was somebody that looked like him. They spit in each other's mouth.
That's
and they go
awkward.
out and they play defense. But Kittle reminds me of that guy Latimer, just an animal.
Oh yeah, he's insane. Not implying that he does steroids by any means. But
No.
yeah, like I said, he's insane. So to give you an example of this, he was it this season or last season? I can't remember. He was shot a pass on the outside. Okay, and as he catches the ball and he starts running, he gets hit. And then hit. Like, the guys are hanging on him. In fact, one guy is literally hanging onto his face mask. So he gets a face mask penalty, too, and hanging on him. And Kittle's like, nope, you're coming with me. And still goes, like, another 5 yards with these guys hanging on him before they finally take him down.
That's nuts.
He's insane, dude.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Just sounds like videos I used to watch of Walter Payton growing up.
Yeah.
Just dragging the entire team.
That's right. All right. And then our next one up here, Zach, it's your boy, Tom Brady.
Everyone's favorite, Tom Brady. He and I go way back. We've got the same name.
Jersey. It's the jersey that they had last year when they drafted it, or when they got him in the contract agreement.
Yeah.
And they had him for like a week, and then they announced the new jersey. So I was like, oh, I got to pick this one up. I mean, the man destroyed a cell phone to win a Super Bowl. So you tell me what he's going to do what it takes.
Right? And he's been doing it. Like,
Yeah.
who would have ever thought the Bucks of all teams would be making the Super Bowl, let alone the playoffs?
It's all media hype.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he, to go along with that, actually has a very unique one. I mean, I guess, when you find a piece of football equipment that you like, you want to keep it, right?
Yeah.
You find that cup that just fits right, you're going to keep that. So,
Good choice. Good choice.
for Brady, it's actually, who's arguably one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. For him, it's his shoulder pads. He got it back when he was in college, back when he was attending Michigan, and he's kept these same shoulder pads ever since. And not only are they good luck for him, but he doesn't per se that they're saying as it's good luck, but he's had them for so long and they fit so well initially, and it's just kind of formed over him as he's gotten older that they're the most comfortable pair of shoulder pads he's ever had. They're just the ones he needs because they fit the best. Again, I never played professional football. I never played football in high school or anything like that.
Yeah.
But for many a gimmick on wrestling wise and other reasons, I've had to put on shoulder pads, and those things are so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like I can imagine getting used to
they're
them.
really
but-
stiff.
Yeah. So it's insane. And yeah, I can't blame Brady. I mean, if it's working, keep it going. So
Yeah.
Well, and his counterpart, Antonio Brown, that was 2 years ago, was the whole helmet fiasco.
Yeah.
Same thing. He had a helmet that he liked, and because of the concussion rules, there's that one's not safe anymore. And
He
Yeah,
tried to spray paint it to hide the fact that it was the old helmet.
Yep. Oh man. What's Brady gonna do if they find out that those shoulder pads aren't safe anymore? He'll probably say,
Yeah, I mean, because you said he started wearing them in college.
"Yeah, he got it back in
Which
Michigan."
was 2002,
he graduated.
I think.
This is when he started college.
2000.
Yeah, so this
Okay,
was
2000. Yeah. Yeah,
This
there's
was
no way those things are up to the standards.
No.
It's not, because they're like helmets. They review that equipment. There's no way that would pass a traditional like NFL sanctioned equipment.
right. And what I was reading was he's actually when he got it back when he first started it, so '96. So that's how old
Oh,
these
wow.
are.
Dang.
Yeah, these are
maybe
older.
they're just maybe they're like the undershirt, they're the underpads.
Yeah, the underpads. Oh man. Maybe he's just told the guys, yeah, these are the new ones. I just deflated them.
Right?
There you go.
All right. So you got the next one, the next one's quite an interesting one.
Yeah. So this isn't a specific player. This is the New Orleans Saints as a team. So as we mentioned earlier, some people have specific meals before a game. For the Saints, it's about the destination. So every season since 2011, they start by eating at Buffalo Wild Wings. But when they lose, they move the party to Wingstop. And then every time they lose thereafter, they switch to a different restaurant.
Yep. Yeah, so several years ago when they went on that 11-1 streak that they had for that fantastic season, they said that they practically ended up buying the Wingstop that they were at because they were there so often because they went there for 11 weeks in a row.
Wow.
Oh, and then of course there's several of these that are fairly commonly known. A prime example of this is your team, Green Bay.
Yeah.
And specifically the Lambeau Leap. I mean, we all know of the Lambeau Leap, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So for all that don't know what the Lambeau Leap is, it pretty much goes as when a player scores a touchdown, they subsequently run from the end zone, jump to the short wall into the fans.
Yeah.
And hang out there for a second until they come back, which several years ago when they had the ban on over celebrating after a touchdown,
Yeah.
that was one of the few things they still allowed was the Lambeau Leap.
Appropriately so.
But it was actually named after a defensive back who I can't remember if it was an interception or if he was actually returning the ball for like a return of some variety. But he was the first one to do it back in '93.
Butler.
Yeah, Leroy Butler. It was the first person to ever do the Lambeau Leap, and it's just stuck. It's also called Lambeau Leap for anyone that doesn't know because it's the field they play on is called Lambeau Field.
Yeah.
So.
Curly Lambeau, their first coach.
Yep. All right.
It's a cool stadium. If you guys, they have free tours and stuff you can do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're an NFL fan, I haven't been there yet, but it's definitely on my list. And I know Pittsburgh plays Green Bay next year, and I live in Illinois, so I'm not too far from there. If it's in Green Bay, this might be the year I actually get to go see Lambeau.
That's one of the ones I've always wanted to see too, for the same reason. So my favorite team of all time has always been the 49ers, but Green Bay is always right up there. And large to do is it's how Green Bay is as a community, like the team and everything else.
Owned by the fans, really, like the community. Yeah.
They're on. You pay for part of your taxes.
The only publicly owned NFL franchise.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So it's insane on how that works, and there's a reason why there are 20-year wait lists for season tickets for Green Bay.
Right.
So,
Well, the neighbors across the street, it looks like mini Lambos they built their houses to look like the field right across the street.
Yeah.
Nope.
It's nuts. It's the only thing to do there. It's a city of 100,000 people. It's in the Midwest. That's the attraction. So everything's built around it. The
That and
airport's
beer.
Yeah, that too.
And cheese.
And cheese.
Yeah, beer and
Yeah.
cheese. So like I said, I actually spent some time in Wisconsin. I actually didn't get to go to Green Bay, but I was in La Crosse, where they have the world's largest six-pack. It's also the biggest. They have the biggest Oktoberfest festival in the United States, second biggest in the world. And it's a town of like 100,000 people. They have the most bars per capita in the United States. It's like 120. I don't know. There's like one for every like 10 people.
Bro, we're in the wrong city.
We are. Also in Wisconsin, the legal drinking age is whatever your parents decide you're allowed to drink with an adult. So I'm in the wrong state.
Yes.
I mean, I am an adult. Drink responsibly.
We're in Utah where the legal drinking age is nope.
Oh, and you guys got 2% beer.
No, they actually just changed that. Started this year. So we're like every other normal place. But you can't get any High Point beer outside of a state-ran liquor store. You can't get any hard alcohol out of a state-ran liquor store.
Yeah.
Like the current drinkage that we're having right now was probably bought at the state liquor store or out of state.
It was. High Points you can only get at a bar, state liquor store, or from the brewery itself.
Yep.
So, which is why we have so many like craft, like microbreweries.
Yeah, we have a lot
all
here
over.
in Utah, surprisingly. So
Yeah, they're just popping up all over.
all right, and then one of the last kind of interesting traditions / superstitions we have is also a fan favorite. I'm going to start this, but Dan, I think you're going to end up taking it over for me because it's about.
I know what you're gonna say, and I'm looking at one right now on my desk.
The terrible towel.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Just
Give me
take
one
over. Just take over.
This one's Pittsburgh Steelers and their terrible towel. That's it right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the terrible towel was an idea. Myron Cope was the radio announcer for the Pittsburgh Steelers for a very long time, and they had finally made it to the playoffs back in 1972 after they drafted Franco Harris. And can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, got real quiet there for a second. So they were trying to come up with an idea to get the fans excited. And Myron Cope said, hey, how about we give them these yellow towels? Or actually, he didn't say we give them, say, bring a yellow towel, dish rag, whatever, so that the TV cameras can see it. And of course, that first playoff game, you started to see it. And for the first year, it was people just bringing grandma's, dish towel and everything. And then Myron Cope got together with one of the companies there in Pittsburgh and said, why don't we do this official, and printed, and the original is very close to the design you see now.
Yeah.
I actually have one from 1979 hanging on one of my walls. I've got two rooms in my house that are painted black and gold. I've got a piece of Three River Stadium turf hanging on my wall. But yeah, they got together, and then he decided that half the proceeds went to producing the towels. The rest of it went to a children's hospital in Pittsburgh. So it was for a really great cause. And I buy one every game I go to, no matter if it's a home game, road game. I probably have 13 or 14 of these things laying around my house.
Jeez.
But yeah, it's and you can see not even in just football, but it's gone all over all the sports. People come up with their own version, and this is where all of that originated from, was Pittsburgh and good old Myron Cope.
Oh yeah. Well, we have
the
a
Dawn of the Steel Curtain as well.
Ron,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we did a football episode a while back. It was for the beginning of fantasy style time, and me and another gentleman, we did our all-time greatest fantasy draft, and my defense was the 70s
be.
Pittsburgh. So
It
and that's what won
absolutely-
out. So
And I live in Bears country, so I get in this argument at least once or twice a year between the 78 Steelers versus the 85 Bears. And while the 85 Bears were great, they're still below the 78 Steelers. Then you got the 85 Bears, then the 2000 Ravens.
yep. Yeah, it was insane. In fact, that was the one he chose was actually the Ravens, which surprised me. I thought he was going to go with the Bears for that one. So,
yeah, I mean, honestly, you can't go wrong with either three of those defenses. They were, I mean, when I say the best, it was 1A, 1B, 1C. They were all phenomenal.
Right. But actually, I have a tradition that we do in my family, which should be interesting, hopefully. For years, about 8 years now, me and my wife have been doing the same thing for Super Bowl. Based off of where the team is, so in this case, now that the game is over, and it's going to be the Bucks versus my brain just turned off KC. So that'll be the teams that they're going up against. We are going to be doing food relevant to that. So for KC, we'll be doing some form of KC barbecue, and the Bucks, we are going to be doing seafood. We actually talked about this a little bit ago. So last year, as the perfect example, we did we made Cubans for San Francisco, but we did them on sourdough bread for San Francisco, and then made the little biscottis, the little burnt toast things that you put like cheese and stuff on that were also sourdough, and then I made some KC styled ribs for there, and we've been doing stuff like that every year.
Yeah.
Fun fact, the Cuban sandwich actually originated in Tampa.
Yeah, that's one of the ones I was looking up today when I was like, what am I going to do for the Bucks? And I'm like, oh, we just did the Cuban last year. But what we're doing for that one.
Hooters from Tampa or something? Get some wings?
Yeah, right? Well, that's what we're doing with KC. We're going to do KC wings. We already kind of decided on wings because if it was Bill, it would be the Buffalo-style wings. And if it's KC, it would be KC wings.
Yeah.
But we're doing a crab, like a cheesy crab dip, ragu dip that we're doing because that's pretty popular apparently in Tampa. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I always just do wings or ribs. I have my own wing recipe that's fantastic. It's not related to teams. That's Brian's thing. And then I also I just make really good ribs.
He actually does.
They're not smoked, but I've got a process. I grill them, I bake them for 3 hours, and then I grill them again, and I'm basting, and I'm doing all sorts of stuff. They just fall off the bone. You can. Oh,
yeah, that's how we do ribs too. We'll bake them over like an apple cider vinegar, then throw them on the grill and sauce them. And like you said, they just fall off the bone.
Yeah, exactly. Love it. So the next few things that I want to talk about. So I actually just went and looked up some crazy stories and just interesting tidbits that are all surrounding the Super Bowl. I'll go over the first two here are dealing with food. So, Brian, did you know that on Super Bowl Sunday alone, America consumes approximately 1.3 billion chicken wings?
In my house alone.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, same here.
1.3 billion. That is insane to me. That is the entire country having 10 wings.
But the question, sir, that I have for you is, are they bone-in or boneless?
There is no such thing as boneless wings, you sick son of a
chicken
bitch.
nugget.
That's a goddamn saucy nugget.
Yes.
Get out of here with your boneless bullshit.
I was a meat cutter for 7 years. You can't bone a wing.
Exactly. Also, everyone's second favorite would obviously be pizza. So I actually found two different things. The first site that I found said there's approximately 12.5 million pizzas that are ordered on Super Bowl Sunday, but I also found another site that said 40 million. Either way, that's a lot of pizza.
That is a ton of pizza. It makes the Ninja Turtles very proud.
Yeah. And then I did see another thing that it was about chips and dip. An astronomically large amount of chips are consumed as well, which makes perfect sense. I don't know where that one went, though. We also, I don't know if you want to go over this with advertisements. This is right up your alley.
Yeah, Zach, it's all about you, man. So we got one over here.
Right?
So on average, for a 30-second Super Bowl spot to be ran in front of everybody, all millions of people watching it, they're the most expensive of all time, right?
Yeah.
The most expensive one specifically, though, was $12.4 million ad by Chrysler in 2011. And part of that is because these aren't like guaranteed spots per se. Like you go in and you put a bid in for these spots for the Super Bowl and stuff like that. So like you can't just be like, hey, Be Hero, we want a spot on the Super Bowl. No, we have to bid on that. So
yeah.
I want to say average, like the runtime cost is anywhere from like $500,000 to $2 million. And then you have, the production costs that go into this. We're actually very fortunate. One of the directors we use for our job, and just a little side. So if you guys have seen the census commercials, you probably did this last year, fill that out. That's great.
Yeah.
The ad agency I work for did all the Native American and Alaska Native work. And the director we used for the commercials is the guy by the name of Joe Pitka. And Barbara Walters did a 30 for 30 on him, some years back when she was still doing that, or 60 Minutes, I believe. They interviewed him, and they talked about how the Super Bowl is his Super Bowl because he's directed 70 plus commercials for the Super Bowl. More, the next closest is like 15.
Oh my God.
But yeah, he's great. He's did all the Clydesdale ads. He did that one when it was in Minnesota with the Vikings and the Ram truck.
Oh yeah.
So he's done them all. He did a few Michael Jackson music videos. Guy lives in Madonna's house in the Hollywood Hills. So just great. He's a great guy too. He's awesome to be around. Great personality. But don't with him. He doesn't take that. So
dude's like making tons of money off of Super Bowl ads. He ain't got time for that crap.
Yeah.
No, exactly. But he's a great guy. He loves Indian country, as we call it. And great man.
Awesome, man.
Am I wrong in thinking that in the last, 3 or 4 years, the commercials for the Super Bowl in general have been way underwhelming? It used to be, you could come away from a Super Bowl with like 30 great commercials that you laughed at or stuck in your head. And it just seems like these last few years, there's only a few that really stand out. The rest are just kind of blah.
I have a theory on this, and I was actually just about to talk about this.
Good segue.
Yeah, great segue. So one of the things I looked up, of people surveyed, approximately 49% like to watch Super Bowl specifically for the commercials. But I'm wondering how, and Zach, if you have any input on this, how that's going to change, because I remember the last couple I've watched traditionally through TV, but there was probably 5 or 6 in a row that I streamed online. And when you do that, they cut out the Super Bowl commercials and insert their own. And I know that with streaming services and that being so much more prevalent, because advertisers can target like, hey, this person paying for this streaming service is of this demographic, we can target a specific ad. I do wonder if that is the reason why the last few years have been so underwhelming for the commercials, and if that is going to continue to be a trend, if the commercials are going to stop being so expensive. You know what I mean?
That definitely makes sense.
I think too, part of it's your return on investment. The Super Bowl slot times they've skyrocketed through the roof. So the companies that, if you're spending $2 million just to buy the airtime, that means
you're not going to dump a bunch of money into the budget to make it. Yeah.
Exactly. So there's that aspect of it, as well as, like you said, you go into these internet streaming. And when it came to internet streaming, it went from, I got to get your attention in 30 seconds. Well, now I have to get your attention in 6 seconds.
Yeah.
And, we as advertisers have to create ads that our message is out in that first 6 seconds. Mm-hmm. And because you're going to hit skip on the YouTube video. You're going to hit next, because you don't want to watch.
So I can definitely count on one hand how many times I've finished a YouTube commercial. And every single time it was because it was a movie
or game trailer,
movie or game trailer that I was already interested in to begin with, and I was like, "Ooh, new footage."
Yeah, the ones that always get me, like the ones I end up sticking around watching all the time too longer, are the ones that like are gonna seem like they're gonna be like a movie trailer for something. It's like, oh, Oh no, you're a truck. I don't want you. Go away now. All right. But yeah, that's I think the way of the commercial too is kind of going away. No offense, Zach, but like the traditional way of the commercial is going away. Like everybody skips past the ads, or they buy the streaming services that don't need. Like you could buy, so it's ad free.
Yeah, pay for premium, like
Yeah.
Hulu Premium. Yeah.
So what you're really starting to see is a trend into product placement.
Yeah.
But not only that, you'll start seeing where like I take the show Blackish. It's on Hulu. They do a really good job at this, but you'll see an episode where they hone in on like Target and different Target appliances throughout. They'll keep referencing it in a sense like it's just normal everyday life, but Target paid them here, do this, get this message out for us.
Oh, Sony is the worst at this. Like if you remember the Amazing Spider-Man, both 1 and 2, everything was Sony. He had that stupid Sony phone, which is a piece of garbage, a Sony laptop, every electronic device throughout both movies, a grand total of about 5 hours of movie, everything was Sony. Sony was everywhere.
It's true. That being said, this amazing red Solo cup has been
was picked up from a local gas station. Support your local businesses.
Well, and then to go even further with social media, they've come up with this new term, like you can be a brand ambassador.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pay you money to buy your product, at, the 10% discount range, which is a typical discount regardless of whatever you're buying anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to post it on my own social media where I have, say, 3,000 followers and say, I love this, Life Straw water bottle.
Yep.
Well, that's free advertising.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually a one myself for pre-workout that I go through Bucked Up. I don't ever bring it up here because I don't want to mix those two things.
Yeah.
But for my wrestling page and stuff like that, my Facebook, my Instagram, and stuff like that, I have it where it is exactly the same thing. Largely, I do it because I get such a huge discount through Bucked Up stuff after that, and then any like revenue I make for their sales based off of me, I can use as credit towards buying my stuff. So it's literally me being nothing more than just a cheap. But
It works though.
it's right. All right, let's keep going.
Yeah. So this next thing I just thought was super cool. So each Super Bowl game gets its own unique coin crafted by a company called Highland Mint. Mm-hmm. The front of the coin features the Lombardi Trophy along with the helmets of the two teams playing. And fans, fans can purchase a replica of the coin after the game. So you can go on the website, and they're still up for the last, I don't know, they're 20 years maybe. You can go up and buy the game coin.
And this is specifically the Super Bowl.
Yes, Super Bowl coin. Yeah.
Yeah. They do a similar one too for the NFC, AFC championship games as well, but the Super Bowl one's the big one.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's an interesting one. To go along with that, there are an estimated about 99 million legal bets on the Super Bowl every year that are done, and they've gotten down the predictions and the percentages so well, it's insane on how well they can go and base off of who's going to win and what the spread will be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever been to a casino and bet on sports. I went one time and attempted to do this, and I was like, yeah, I'm just going to bet on who I think is going to win. And they looked at me like I was an idiot. Like,
Yes.
How many points are they going to score? Well, I don't know. In the first... Oh, you want me to say how many they're going to score just in the first quarter and who's scoring them? Yeah, no, I can't do that. But there are people that actually have that down, like almost to a science.
It's insane. Like, it's all mathematics and everything else. Just so everyone knows, by the way, Utah, once again, is that funny state, and we don't do anything with gambling.
Oh, no, never. We would never endorse wasting your money on, wonderful things like games.
So I used to go to the bar a lot before I was married, and one of the things on Wednesdays is a specific bar I would go to is they would have poker tournaments. Mm-hmm. But because it's considered gambling, they would never let you win direct money or a prize per se. But what you would do is you put in like I think it was like $10 or whatever for the ante, and if you won, you could win up to a $200 amount of alcohol towards your tab, or $200 towards your tab for that night. So you can like buy everybody around and everything else. Like that. I usually did it because as you were playing, they usually covered your tab for that while. So I would pay $10, play poker for a while, and get way wasted. So
yeah. So the next couple things I found are just like traditions from the interwebs. So one of them is just like it's just cruel, but like. There's people out there that will make you predict the coin toss. And if you're wrong, you either don't get to watch the game or they make you sit in like a closet and you have to watch it on a tiny tube TV. That's just rude. But
I know what I'm doing to you when you come over to the Super Bowl now.
Yeah.
After you make
Funny
the
little
wings.
side on that. The back in 2008 when Pittsburgh was in the Super Bowl against Arizona, and Pittsburgh was doing that final drive at the end. We were, of course, at my brother's house, huge party. There was probably 40 or 50 people there. Me and my cousin were such a ball of nerves that we went out in the garage where there's a little 13-inch TV, and that's where we watched that final pass to Santonio Holmes on that little bitty. I mean, we're doing the guy jump hug and on this itty bitty TV because I just didn't want to be around anybody.
oh man, but remember when like having something just accessible like that was such a huge deal? Like I remember my friend when he got his first TV in his room, and it was a tiny little like 13-inch tube TV, but we thought it was the best thing ever.
Oh yeah,
we were like
'cause it
14.
was your own TV.
Exactly.
And so, we like. I remember watching basketball was my thing back then. Watching the Jazz, the Bulls, and the same thing. The chest bump, and you're like, oh my god,
Our team's so amazing, which by the nature of how sports work, we're amazing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, well, we could literally go off into a whole nother hour show on this, but when you think about like my generation, we grew up I'm going to be 46 this year, so like my family for a very long time we had one TV, so that's what you watched. And then as I got into probably my junior high school years, that's when they became more readily available and you could have 2 or 3 TVs. But nowadays, you literally have access to content in anything, phones and computers and everything. And it's just really weird how society and families have changed because of technology like that.
Yeah.
And I'm right there with you. Sorry, go ahead, Zach.
You can even go as far as to compare it to baseball and how radio with baseball became like everyone would sit around that in a home.
Yeah.
Football and how the Super Bowl and Sunday NFL owns the fall Sunday.
For sure.
That's it. That's what people do.
Well, and it's not even Sundays anymore. Literally, it's Thursday, Sunday, Monday, and then with this season, with all the COVID stuff,
Tuesday, Wednesday.
We had a Wednesday night football game for the first time in like 60 years, and it was the Steelers.
Yeah.
But yeah, like to go along with that, like I'm about to be 40 here soon, and so I'm in the very same way as you, Dan. That I grew up with one TV in the house until I was in my teenage years, and I was lucky to get my own TV. And now my girls, who are 7 and 4, they have all of the electronics. In fact, that's no longer having your TV taken away from you as a punishment. It's your electronics as like a wholesale. You have no electronics.
If it plugs in anywhere, it's gone.
That's right.
Yep.
All
It's
right.
a punishment to play with your toys.
Right.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh. Yes.
Yeah. Kids today, like, go to your room. Okay. I got my iPad, my Xbox, my cell phone,
Right.
like everything I want.
Oh yeah. My punishment for my girls, I did this to my oldest daughter today, was you go to your room, no TV, no electronics. And she's like, but I want to listen to music while I'm working. I'm like, fine. As long as you're working on something, you can listen to music. She turned it on her TV.
Of course she
So
did.
she can watch the music, things go as she's going and cleaning her room that way.
That's why I actually put Z-Wave outlets in my son's room so I can control their electronics. So I'm like, it's not going to work. The outlet's dead now.
Yeah, there you go.
You done messed up.
There's a smart way of doing it. All right.
Outside.
That's right. You just kick him outside.
Yeah.
But we did that today too. Actually, we took my girls because it just snowed out here today for the first time in like a month, and so I took my girls outside to go play in the snow and go make a snowman and such. And my oldest daughter was like, "Oh yeah, let's do a snowman." Yeah. Ran out there and then started making a snowman. I was like, "My hands are cold. They hurt so much," and ran back inside after like 3 minutes. Anyhow, so let's finish this up.
Yeah, so I've got one more tradition, then I've got just 3 crazy Super Bowl stories that actually happened. So I'll go over the tradition real quick. This is a tradition from a neighborhood in Minnesota where people will sit on their roof. It doesn't matter if it's bad weather, whatever. They sit on their roof to watch the game. And there was one, it was a Bengals fan, according to Fox News and other sources, who sat on his roof for months until his team won.
A Bengals fan, you said?
Yeah, a Bengals fan in Minnesota that just, first of all, what?
Right?
He deserved, he really deserved to stay on his roof for
Well,
that.
being a Bengals fan in
He
general.
probably died up there because they don't win much.
No. Oh, man. All right, so let's go over some of these cool stories. The first one that we got is the Packers receiver Max McGee had 4 receptions all season prior to the Super Bowl. So since he didn't expect to play much, he partied like way too much the night before the big game because that's intelligent to do.
Yep.
But on the third snap of the game, the starting receiver, Boyd Doyle, injured his shoulder. Oh, Dowler, excuse me. Boyd Dowler injured his shoulder, and McGee was forced to play. McGee was so confident he wouldn't play, he left his helmet in the locker room. And when he was called into the game, he simply borrowed a teammate's helmet to take the field. Then he went on to catch the first touchdown in Super Bowl history, which was a ridiculously one-handed hauled-in pass that was thrown behind him. So the first one-handed catch.
One.
Yep, that's insane.
To be hungover, just destroyed. I mean, sometimes when you're hungover, like exercising helps work it out of you. Not all the time, though.
No.
If you're too, this last summer, I thought that working out was gonna get rid of my hangover. So I did a 7-mile hike up to this peak in American Fort Canyon, and I almost died. I just lost my mind. That was a bad choice. But for him to go on and do something like that, that's freaking crazy. That's cool.
Yeah, we've had wrestlers and stuff like that try to work after hangovers. And, that was super prevalent back in the, 60s, 70s, 80s, where guys would be, 6 days on a show tour, and they would be drunk all 6 days. And it's there's famous stories about Ric Flair doing that same thing, just being completely thrashed. But I could not imagine doing that now.
Right?
Back when David Wells was pitching for the Yankees, and when he threw his perfect game, he went out the night before and got so drunk that he was still legally drunk when he threw that perfect game.
Wasn't that the acid story, though? I thought he was supposed to be on acid when he did that game.
What?
It was acid, wasn't it?
I thought he was just drunk. It was David Wells. It might have been both.
Yeah.
You might be thinking of Doc Gooden and the Mets, those 2 guys that would go party. Who else? Strawberry and Gooden would go party.
Daryl Strawberry and Doc Gooden were both notorious cocaine users.
Yeah, I heard that too, but I thought the other story was the on acid. But
maybe
I could be wrong.
Maybe it was tripping. Either way, he was not sober and he threw a perfect game.
Yeah, I don't have any of them written down, but I did find quite a few stories of actually cocaine use during the Super Bowl until it was caught onto and banned completely.
Right.
Our camera's about to die for good, so let's. This next one, a Steelers fan showers with Super Bowl champs. This is from the LA Times. I'm just reading this right out of the article. I'd been around the Steelers long enough to know this guy wasn't a trainer or an equipment guy. Who the hell was he? It was obvious he wasn't a player. So I went over to talk to Joe Green at his locker, and during the course of the interview, this guy comes out of the shower, starts getting dressed in front of the locker near Joe's. I said, Joe, who is this guy? Joe's exact words were, I have no idea. I don't know who he is.
Oh, my goodness. Well, guys, go ahead.
There was a Cubs fan that did that. He pretended to be a security guard during the World Series about it. Might as well.
Right? Yeah. I mean, if you're going to do it and you know you're going to get banned, you might as well go for the gusto, right? But
yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we're about to lose our camera, so I think we're going to go ahead and just get that ended up here tonight. Well, thank you both for joining us again.
Thanks for having us.
So, Zach, go ahead and tell us all about your podcast and where we can find you one more time.
Yeah, no, thank you. You can check me out, check all my nature stories out on Wandering Ways Podcast. We are on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, the whole 9 yards. We got swag. So, yeah, definitely check it out.
Right on. All right, and Dan, same thing.
Hangin With Deez, and that's hanging with no G. And we're also available on Spotify, Apple, Google, all that stuff. No YouTube yet, but we're getting there.
Right on. All right, guys.
All right. Well, I think our camera just cut off, so we'll just use the footage from your Zoom for the last of it. But
see if we can get you in there, Tom.
Am I in there? Maybe.
Oh, there he is.
Hey.
All right, guys. Well, as you guys know, we always end this in the same way, with Tom both hiding and not being there. So we're gonna have you both try and do this in chorus. So I'll give you the Iggy,
and you're gonna say "fight on."
Yeah. So. Guys, as always,
fight on.
Fight on.
Hi, welcome to Wandering Ways Podcast, where me and my co-host Mark talk about all our nature experiences. He has a sports medicine and health and wellness background, while I have a Native American communications background, and we travel the world and share our experiences with you. From buffalo hunts in Yellowstone National Park to climbing the top of Mount St. Helens volcano. We have encountered grizzly bears, rattlesnakes, and even a Bigfoot. Yes, you heard that correctly, a Bigfoot. Only one place to hear them, and that place is Wandering Ways Podcast. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Once you're all caught up with the Be Hero crew, jump on over to my new show. It's called Hangin With Deez. My co-host Dylan and I cover all kinds of topics, mostly sports, but we also get into some pop culture stuff, video games, and movie news. Also tell an occasional story from my days as a strip club DJ. That is Hangin With Deez, available on Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts, just about anywhere that you find your podcasts. Come see us, Hangin With Deez.